Jenna has just been discharged from an inpatient psychiatric hospitalization. She was admitted after making suicidal threats and gestures, including cutting herself, that bordered on life-threatening. Jenna has been hospitalized multiple times for similar behavior, and it typically occurs after a breakup. This time was no different. Jenna is in her early 20s. She lives on her own and recently graduated from college. She had a very good job in marketing when she graduated, but she ended up leaving the job after a year when she started to have interpersonal difficulties with some of her co-workers. At present, she's supporting herself with a temp job and considering her professional options. She has had several intense love affairs, but they tend to break off after about a year, which then leads to suicidality on the part of Jenna. Let's meet Jenna. Hello, Jenna. So how are you doing today?
Okay, how are you?
Good. So can you tell me a little bit about why you were in the hospital?
It's a little fuzzy. I know I cut myself, but I do that sometimes when I get upset.
What do you do?
Well, whenever I feel really upset or angry, I take a razor blade and I cut the skin on my thighs where nobody can see.
What does that do for you?
Sometimes it's the only thing that makes me feel alive. It relieves me. For some reason, the pain soothes me. But I cut too deep and there was blood everywhere, so I called 911 because I got scared.
So, you didn't want to kill yourself?
No. I mean, I have those thoughts sometimes, but I didn't want to die. I just wanted relief from the pain.
What pain are you talking about?
The pain of Jim breaking up with me. I felt so empty and alone, and I just can't bear to feel that way.
Do you feel empty sometimes?
I feel empty a lot of times. I feel like I'm not even real. The cutting helps with that. Reassures me that I'm here.
Let's go back a bit. Can you tell me a little bit about your family growing up?
Do we have to? They're a mess, just like me.
Just tell me a bit.
Well, I have an older sister and a younger brother. My earliest memories are fine, but when I was 10, my mom left my dad and us kids.
Did your dad raise you?
He tried. He won't talk about my mom at all. Turns out she tried to kill herself a couple of times while they were together. Couldn't handle raising 3 kids. But I see her occasionally. I didn't for 9 years. It was just my dad and my siblings, although my sister kind of dropped out after my mom left.
Tell me about that.
Well, she was 15 when my mom left, and she just went out with her friends and drank and got into trouble. Finally, she just ran off with some guy when she was 17, and we rarely see her. She's doing better now, though. She has a job. We see her every once in a while. She got married, had a kid, but she's divorced.
What about your brother?
I guess I was closest to him. I kind of raised him. He was only 5 when my mom left. He's a senior in high school and he's doing okay.
What about your dad?
I guess he did the best he could, but he was working all the time. It was just really lonely in our house. My dad recently remarried and I don't really talk to him that much.
Sounds like you were left to your own devices quite a bit. How did you cope?
Well, things were always better when I had a boyfriend, so I just tried to have a boyfriend. I didn't feel so alone. I felt like someone loved me.
And are there times when you're upset, even distraught because you feared that someone you loved might leave you?
Well, they did, didn't they? I mean, I would get into these really intense relationships and just feel like I don't exist if I don't have them with me.
So these are intense relationships, lots of ups and downs?
Yeah, it's like all or nothing. I mean, I love this person so much that I can't live without them, but then I hate them so much I need to get away, and as soon as I do, I realize I can't live without them, and I feel this empty feeling, which makes me panic, and then I cut myself.
Do you think you cut yourself so people won't leave you?
Maybe. I don't know.
So, tell me about your romantic relationships.
Well, they're really intense. I usually fall for guys really quickly.
So, you fight a lot?
Well, with Jim I did. I was pretty jealous, I guess. I was always worried he would leave me. We had these huge blow-ups, and we would fight and then make up, but it was always up and down. The fights would get really intense, and sometimes I would throw things, break things. Sometimes I would threaten to hurt myself.
So, how often have you done that?
I don't know. A lot. But in the moment I meant it, but afterwards I realized I didn't want to hurt myself or kill myself.
What have you done in the past to try to hurt yourself?
Well, I already told you about the cutting thing, but that's not really to hurt myself, although sometimes I did inadvertently, like last time. I took a bunch of Ambien once and had to have my stomach pumped. I took a bunch of aspirin, but that just made me sick.
So, would you say that most of these attempts were reactive? Well, in other words, a reaction to what you were feeling in the moment rather than a planned attempt to take your life?
Yeah, I guess so.
I want to ask you about some other behaviors. These are behaviors that cause problems for people sometimes, and I want you to tell me if they've caused problems for you over the past 5 years.
Okay.
Do you ever gamble?
No.
Do you ever spend money you don't have or buy things impulsively?
I've done that. Usually when I'm feeling down or after a breakup, I'll go to the mall and spend a bunch of money, things I don't need. I think it's going to make me feel better, but it doesn't, and I just end up struggling with the bills.
What about one-night stands?
Yeah, I've done that. After a breakup, I go out and drink too much and hook up, trying not to feel lonely, I guess.
That was my next question. Alcohol. What about other drugs?
No. Sometimes I drink too much, but I don't do other stuff.
What about shoplifting or taking things that don't belong to you?
No.
Ever gotten a ticket or been in a car wreck?
Nope.
Ever drive while drunk?
Yeah, I've done that. I didn't get caught, and I feel terrible about it, but I've done it.
Ever go on eating binges or feel like you can't control your eating?
Sometimes. When I'm upset or after a breakup, I'll eat until I'm stuffed. It's like I feel so empty that if I eat enough stuff, I won't feel that way.
Have you ever done anything else impulsive where you could have gotten hurt?
Probably nothing I can remember off the top of my head.
I want to ask you about your job now. When you graduated, you got a really great job at a PR firm, but you got fired a year later. So what happened with that?
It was a great job. At least I thought so at first, but I just worked with a really difficult group of women.
What do you mean by that?
Well, at first they were awesome. There were 4 women in my office, and all of us were hired at the same time, and we started out as friends. I loved them. They were great, but they turned out differently.
Can you tell me about that?
They tried to undermine me. They stole my ideas and passed them off as their own. They ganged up on me. I got into some pretty heated arguments, and HR wasn't on my side.
Heated arguments?
Yeah, we teamed up for like this big project, and we just fought. I got so mad one day I pulled this girl's hair and slapped another girl. I was already on probation, so I got fired.
Looking back on that, what do you think was going on?
I guess I couldn't control my anger. I would have a fight with Jim and I couldn't let it go. I would go into work the next day and just be on edge, and anything anyone would do would just set me off. I feel like I can manage it better now after this last hospital stay, but I'm really hoping that there are some things you can do to help me, Dr. Klein. I don't want to feel this way anymore. I'm all over the place. I mean, my family is screwed up, but I don't want to be screwed up forever. So, can you help me, do you think?